welcome to this week's video. Today I have something very exciting to share with you. I was contacted a few weeks ago by Paul Rubens if I was interested in sharing some of their paints. And I have never used Paul Rubens materials, so I was very curious to try these. And they were very kind also to send me a sketchbook, which I am very looking forward to try. It's a cold press cotton sketchbook, and I love square format to paint. I have been using a lot of square paper to paint lately, so I was really happy to see that. And I chose also the Floral 24 half pan watercolor set. I'm looking forward to sharing these with you. It's very unusual that people contact me to review materials. I don't have brands contact me very often, but when they do, I like to take a look at the materials and see if it's really something that I would use myself, and if so, I'm happy to agree and review those. So that's why I'm sharing this with you today. So this one, I hadn't opened it yet. I had just removed the plastic wrapping off camera, and just seeing it looks very fancy with the little flannel. I think this is a catalog of all of their colors. It's all in Chinese, but it has the pigment numbers. Then it has this little history of the brand, and it's a swatch card and has the names of the paints in English and in Chinese, and has the pigment information as well and the numbers. So that's good to refer to. And looking here, I see that out of the 24 colors, 4 of them are convenience mixes. So we have 20 single pigment half pans out of 24, which is not bad at all. It will be good for mixing. I guess that's why I chose this particular set. I think I had a look at the selection, and I thought the selection of single pigments here was interesting to be doing some color mixing as well. It's a really nice pink with the logo here on the left side, and I love having colored watercolor metal boxes because I already have a few black, and sometimes it can take a while to sort through them to see which one I am looking for. I have all of them like stacked on top of each other in a little storage area near my desk, so I always appreciate having something very easily identifiable. It looks like a good quality box. It has all of the mixing spaces like you would expect. Also here, the rolled edges, so there's no sharp metal, and has the name in English at the top and the pigment information on the side here. So I'll probably try to keep this one glued on the side. And now I'm curious to see how this sketchbook is, so I'll carefully cut around here. It's a 300 GSM cotton sketchbook, and it's 19 by 19 centimeters. Ah, nice. I like the texture of the paper already. I don't know if you can see well on camera, but it has this natural texture, which I always love. And something I have noticed here as well is that it has a perforation on the side, so you can also remove it if you wish. So I have some pages that are a bit harder to open than others. The only thing is maybe something to be mindful of. If you are used to using 2 pages for a long spread, you know that there is this line of perforation here in the middle. It's not really my case. Nice materials. It has like the logo here in golden, and yeah, I just got myself recently a heat what's it called? I think it's a heat foil pen. This little pen over here that you use it connected to a USB, and then you can use a foil paper like this and apply on top of whatever you want, like a sketchbook like this, and then you can create an effect similar to this. After I try the sketchbook and all of that, I'm considering maybe coming up with something nice to add to the sketchbook, either the front or the back, just an idea of something to make it even more special. So as you can see, I have unwrapped all of my pens, and I'm gonna just show you here what I did with the last page. I like to test materials in the last pages of the sketchbook. I used some washi tape to make a grid, to make it easier for me to just go and paint the colors. I decided I wanted to test also how the paper behaves with the different types of washi tape. These are washi tapes I bought online or in stores here in Dublin. So we'll see how well I can peel this off without damaging the paper. And let's start. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit as usual so you can see better. Very vibrant, cool yellow, which will be great for mixing. I see in the pens some of them look a bit more shiny than the others. We'll see how they look on paper. I'm trying to dilute a bit here at the bottom. I think I added too much pigment. To be fair, I just touched the pen with my brush and I got a really creamy pigment, so they dissolve very nicely. Now let's go to the next yellow, which is permanent yellow medium, PY65. Then we have an orange called permanent orange yellow, which is a mix between PO73 and PY74. It's really a classic medium orange, but you can also experiment building your own oranges because you have the different yellows and different reds on the set. Or you can also use this one as a base to mix. Next we have Indian yellow, which here they have PY83. It's nice to have an Indian yellow single pigment. Sometimes you see brands having convenient mixes for Indian yellow. And this is an even warmer yellow, a kind of orangish yellow. These types of yellow make great olive greens. It's very windy outside today, so you may hear in the background. Now we have Chinese red, PR254. I know that I really like PR254 and PR255, I think. These very vibrant reds. This one is a bit cooler than what I'm used to, but very rich as well. We'll see how it dries. I hope the reflection of the washi tape here on the top is not too bad. I say washi tape, but I don't think this can be called a washi tape. It's just kind of a holographic tape. Then the next color, they call it Peach Light, and it's PR146. I don't remember this pigment if I've ever seen it before. It looks like an opera rose. It looks very fluorescent, so I think there might be dyes, because usually to get this type of vibrancy, I don't know if it comes across on screen, it's very hard to get fluorescent colors showing properly on camera, but this very much looks like a bright rose or an opera rose. And this next one is called Rose Red, and this is PV19. So far, I'm really enjoying these paints. They look nice, vibrant, and they are drying nicely on the paper. Also the paper I'm enjoying a lot. Next we have another one. This is magenta, and this is PR122. That's interesting, because for PR122 I expected something that was a bit lighter then this, and a bit more purple leaning. This to me look a bit more like a quinacridone violet, or even some versions of PV19. Regardless, it's a very beautiful color, and I can see how this is nice also for florals. Then we go back to yellow. It's interesting that they kind of separated the yellows here. We have like 2 yellows, then an orange, then another yellow here. I'll probably reorder the pens after I finish swatching when they are dry, because I'm OCD like that and I want to have all the yellows together. And their Nicoeso yellow is the PY150, which is the usual pigment for Nicoeso yellow. And I love this yellow. It's very versatile, it's transparent. You can get really dark, like an ochre in mass tone, but when you use it diluted, it's a very beautiful, luminous yellow, as you can see here. And this makes very nice olive greens as well. More transparent than this tone. Which one? This tone I was mentioning about olive greens. And you can make beautiful oranges as well, like autumnal tones. Then we have lavender violet, and this is a convenience mix of PB29, PV3, and PW6. So it has a white pigment, which makes it opaque, which is usually the case for lavenders. But it also has PV3, which is known to be a not very light fast pigment. Here they give 3 stars out of 5, I assume. Yeah, I think the higher light fastness for those paints are 5. Now we're getting to the third row of colors, and the next one we have is Permanent Violet, PV23. This one was the only one that when I unwrapped was a tiny little bit stuck to the wrapper, but nothing major. I was able to safely remove it. A tip though, if you have paints, it can happen a lot with handmade paints also, that they're not completely dry, or maybe if you're in a place where it's very warm, they kind of melt a bit and they get stuck to the wrapper. You can always pop them in a Ziploc bag and put them in the freezer for a few hours, and that should help. Then we have Cobalt Blue, PB28. Really like this color. Wow, that's very nice. Really nice. Love it. And another tip, if you want to make lavender, you can always mix either Cobalt Blue or French Ultramarine or Ultramarine Blue with a bit of white, and you instantly have lavender type of tone. If you mix very little white, you get Verditer Blue type of color. More white, you get more lavender type of color. The next one is French Ultramarine, PB29. And talking about whites, I should mention this is one of the reasons I also chose this set. Initially, they had proposed me a set they are releasing, but because that set included a white paint, and I don't really use white watercolors, I decided to take a look at the other sets they had on offer, and this one caught my eye, and I'm happy that this one doesn't have either black or white, even though sometimes I find that it's nice to have black, more so if it's a textural black like ivory black or Mars black. But in general, I would rather have more colors than having black or white in sets. So that's what I mentioned before, that I'm not usually doing this type of reviews or brands send their products to me to share with you. But when I do, you can trust me, these are things that I would use myself, and I wouldn't be sharing here with you if it's not something that I would purchase myself as well. Now we have another blue, and this is Sea Blue, PB15:3, which is phthalo blue. So I assume it's a, yeah, it's a cool blue, very good for mixing, transparent, and highly staining. So this is good to work in layers because it's absorbed by the paper, and when you paint on top of it, the second layer won't move around the first layer. It stains the paper. So if you move your brush around after it's dry, it's not gonna move the paint around. So if you want to paint things with multiple layers, staining colors like phthalo blue are ideal for that. Next, we have indigo, and their indigo is a convenience mix of PV19, PB15, and PBK6. This can be a very useful color also to make your colors darker, to paint night skies. This is very deep. Really like it. Lovely. It has this rich color. Indigo is a very particular color in the sense that nowadays brands don't use the true indigo anymore that comes from a plant because it's highly unstable. It's not light fast at all, so they do their own mixes. So indigo is a type of color that each brand will do their own mixes. It's not necessarily means that they will look the same, so it's always good to have different ones to compare and see which ones you like best. So let's continue here. I hope this indigo doesn't lose a lot of saturation because it's very nice. The next one we have is turquoise light PB36. I've seen many different PB36, but to be fair, this to me look more like a PB28 or PG50, which is cobalt turquoise light. I will, if I remember later, I'll take some examples of my PB36 colors and you can put side by side to see, but from memory, usually PB36 is not as vibrant as cobalt turquoise light. It's a bit more leaning like towards cerulean blue, and PB36 also has a heavy granulation. So let's see how this one dries, and let's continue with permanent green. This is a convenience mix of PG36, PY3, and PY74. This is a very bright green. Reminds me a bit of May green from Schminke. You can very easily reproduce this type of green also just with some lemon yellow and phthalo blue. That's interesting, because now as the paint is drying, I can see that the color looks a bit more muted than when I first put it on paper, which is very interesting, to be honest. You cannot always be fooled by first impressions, I guess. And next is another green, which is emerald green light, PG36. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is called phthalo green yellow shade. And this is a color I don't usually go for, but it can be very good for mixing. I've been watching some videos from Anna Bucciarelli. She has wonderful paintings. She has a channel here on YouTube, and she made a series about different pigments to have on your palette, and she usually works with a lot of layers. And I think she mentioned a tone a bit like this. I don't know if it was PG36 or just Hooker's Green. Then we have Hooker's Green Brilliant. I'm gonna show you here. I think it's a translation problem. I think they maybe they were undecided between bright and brilliant, so they went with Brillight, which is fun. Anyway, this is PG17. It's a very nice, warm, dark green. I like it. Very natural looking. And now one of my favorites, This is olive green, and this is a mix between PG36, so this color over here, PY12, which sounds unusual to me. I don't remember ever seeing a PY12 before. Need to research it. And PR101. Let's see how this olive green looks. It's a very earthy one, brown leaning one. I like it. It's hard for me not to like an olive green. It's my favorite type of green. We'll see how it dries. And now to the last row of paints, we have the earth tones. The first one being Yellow Sienna Deep, PY42. It's a nice tone. Not that yellow. It's kind of more orange than yellow, to be fair. But I don't mind, I like it. And I see a bit of texture as well, which is very common for siennas. Next we have Cyprus Brown Deep PBR7. I usually like PBR7s. Let's see how this is. Very creamy. Nice. Kind of a greenish brown, cooler type of brown. It's always good to have variety in earth tones. And it also looks like it has a bit of texture, but it's hard to judge with the wet paint. You'll be able to see it best when it dries. The good thing is that cold press paper, it's wonderful to show texture. I really tried to like hot press paper. I'm always trying to see if I can find a way of working with it to suit my preference, but I always come back to cold press. So next is Van Dyke Brown, also PBR7. PBR7 also seems to be like PR101, this pigment that can appear in many different declinations. You see here on the side, and now this very deep, rich brown. Great to tone down some colors, some very vibrant colors like this green here. And last but not least, another PBR7, which they call burnt brown, which I assume is like burnt umber. I think these names come from direct translations from Chinese. That's why sometimes they can sound a bit funny. The important thing is that the paints look nice and behave as you expect them to behave. And it's a beautiful brown as well, kind of a medium brown. So yeah, very creamy, very opaque in mass tone. We'll see how they dry now. You have here the whole sheet. Beautiful, colorful squares. I like all the selection, to be fair. And yeah, I'm looking forward to peeling that tape. I'm gonna wait for it to dry. I'm gonna bring you here with me to see that moment, because I know how satisfying it is peeling tape from your paper when you're done. And then I'm gonna name all the colors and I'm gonna go through them on close up so you can see better. We'll be back here soon. Hi there, I'm back. All of my paints are dry, so we are here for that exciting moment of peeling the tape. I'll start with the middle ones, which are like washi tapes, and so far so good. These don't have a lot of glue, so usually I don't have a hard time peeling them. I got a bit of bleeding underneath some parts of the tape, but this has more to do with the tape not having a lot of adherence than the paints or the paper. So I'm back with all of my swatches properly named. I'm gonna show you the close-up now. And I took the chance also to take some of my paints to compare with the colors I was questioning. So first one, this magenta that they say is PR122. I have here a magenta from Rosa Gallery for comparison. Like I said, it does look a bit more purple leaning than magenta than I'm used to see with the PR122. It reminds me a bit of this PV19 version, which is a bit more violet-y, not the pink one. So it feels to me that this magenta here is almost like in between these two, as if this PR122 and PV19 had a baby. That's what you get. You get the mass tone very similar, very dark, but it has also this light kind of pinkish tone, so it's kind of in between these two really. And another one that I was a bit unsure was the turquoise light. So I'm gonna show what I was talking about. This is PB36, and I have 3 examples here. PB36 can also vary a bit depending on the brand and the way it's prepared. So when I first thought PB36, I was thinking about more this type of blue, like the cerulean blue from Rosa Gallery. It's not as green leaning, you see, it's not this yellowish undertone. It also has texture. Both of them have. This also has a bit of granulation. Then I also have greener PB36. I have this one from Rembrandt, cerulean blue greenish, which is a bit more green leaning, but still not as bright as this one. And I have another one from Upton, which is a Czech brand. I have a video here on the channel swatching some of their colors. You see, it's still not quite the tone, and for comparison, I'm gonna remove this one that is really not the same. Look at the PB28 and the PG50. This is Cobalt Sea Blue by Roman Schmoll and Cobalt Turquoise by Schminke. So you can see how at first I thought this color was reminding me of these. Again, I think we have here something that's really in the middle, in between those two. It's more vibrant than these two, but not as light as this. Is a bit more greening than these two, so I like it. I like it because it's a tone that I don't have, is in between those two, and I love any type of turquoise tones, so I'm happy to have it, and it has some lovely texture as well. The Peach Light is a very, very vibrant pink, and I just realized now as I was looking through my swatches of paints to compare it to, that I lied in the beginning of this video unintentionally. I said I had never tried Paul Rubens paints before, but I realized I did. I just didn't remember. It's because I bought a kit of fluorescent paints. I didn't remember it was Paul Rubens, but here we are. So I did try Paul Rubens colors before, not their regular line though, just their fluorescent set of paints. And I took these two to compare to the Peach Light, and as you can see, this one is pretty similar, the Opera Peach. Not for anything that the names are similar. This is Peach Light, this is Opera Peach. At least in person they look very, very similar. Here it says a pigment PR146, which I just checked quickly, and it's Naphthol Red, but I think it's incorrect information, because Naphthol Red, as I see in the swatches online with PR146, is more of a carmine type of pink, and it definitely doesn't have all of this vibrancy here. So this may have some PR146, but for sure there are fugitive dyes included to make it vibrant. Nevertheless, I love it. I find it's very happy and vibrant, and I would love to find ways to incorporate this in some of my paintings. I like neons, like you can see. I bought a kit a long time ago, haven't been using them. I'm still yet to discover how to incorporate them. I love artists that do so. I seen some paintings from Beatrice Blue where she added some touches of fluorescent, and it looks great. I just need to find a way to use them. So that's it. I guess I really like the paints. They behaved very well, apart, like I said, from some inconsistencies with the pigment. I really love the paper. I think I haven't seen any issues with it. One thing I noticed with the paints though is that when you use it a lot in mass tone, some of them got a bit of shine. You may see here. Also in the magenta, the red. It's not all of them. The other ones are quite opaque, but I can see a bit in the hooker's green, the browns, and the reds, and a bit on the top of the violet here. And this doesn't mean that it's a quality issue with the paints. I have this happening also in paints with honey as a binder, like the Sanalia paints that I absolutely love. So I would say just be careful not to leave too much paint, even though you're painting more with more paint than water, because you can get this kind of a shiny effect. Apart from that, I really love the paints. The paper behaved well. I didn't have any ripping off with the tape, which is great, because I love using tape to frame my compositions, and I think this is very good sign that I didn't have any problem to remove it. And yeah, I think it's brilliant, a brilliant little sketchbook. I look forward to painting more on it and maybe customizing it later. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was useful for you if you're thinking about getting this set or other sets from Paul Rubens. I have some links in the description below if you are interested, and I hope to see you here soon. Bye!